The online dating industry has got to be one of the fastest growing in the world. Over the past 10 years, there's been a huge cultural shift in many parts of the globe that have made it much more socially acceptable for people to use dating apps, men and women alike. The Knott's 2021 Jewelry and Engagement Study found that 35% of those over 35 years old found their partner online. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry that's only set to solidly rise in status and profit over the next decade with no signs of slowing down. And the idea of meeting your partner online is becoming less and less taboo by the day. But what if I were to tell you that very, very soon there could be a curveball thrown into play that might change the game forever? A lifeline to some and a terror to others. What I'm about to disclose in this video is hot off the press. I guarantee you would have never heard of this before. So stick with me as we discuss this extremely controversial new technology that's set to be released in the very near future. But before we discuss what this technology is, we need to discuss why it's being implemented. And for that, we need to talk about the dynamics of dating apps, specifically Tinder because it's the most commonly used. We need to talk about who it favours, who it penalises, and why this is. And luckily for us, there's plenty of research and studies that have been conducted on Tinder that have analysed everything from gender to age to ethnicity to preferences. Anything and everything on that app has probably been researched. So according to Christian Bowe, who created the site swipestats.io that allowed its users to analyse their own profiles compared to others, the data that he received implied that women swipe right on 1 in 20 or just 5% of the profiles they see, passing on 95% of them. Men, on the other hand, swipe right on just over half, 53% of the profiles they see, and swipe left on 47%, which means that according to his data, the average man will match with 1.8% of the people that he swipes right on, whereas the average woman would match with 36% of the people that she swipes right on. You might be wondering why this is, and it's a highly debated question, but there's one conclusion that I want to talk about because it seems to be a bit more credible than some other arguments. There could definitely be an argument for sexual selection, whereby members of one sex will compete with each other for members of the opposite sex, typically males towards females. If we're talking about human beings, biologically, the time and resources for women to go through pregnancy are incomparable for what a man has to do to get her pregnant. If we're being very generous, if a man was to sleep with one woman a day for 9 months, he could potentially reproduce 270 times. But if a woman were to sleep with a man a day for 9 months, she could reproduce once. And therefore it makes sense for women to be picky when choosing a mate. Even if contraception is present, this could be hardwired into our brains. This could possibly be the case, but there's another theory that I want to talk about, and it's much simpler. The fact of the matter is that Tinder's user base is largely comprised of men. It's thought that 70 to 75% of the app's users are male, and so this could just be simply a case of supply and demand. Women get the chance to be more picky because there are more men to choose from, whereas some men will just have to settle. Now, I'm not going to get incelly on you guys, I've not taken the black pill, but as the article says, the result is a large number of men fighting over a comparably small pool of women, which allows women to choose potential matches very carefully. Meanwhile, men with profiles that are less attractive are left high and dry. Bowe's findings discovered that the top 10% of male users could expect about 5 matches per day, compared to the top 10% of female users that could expect about 7 matches a day. In comparison, the bottom 10% of female users should still expect about 1 match a day, but for a male user in the bottom 10%, he might only get 1 a week if he's lucky. And that's just a match, let alone a date or a relationship or even more. According to the article, it would take the typical guy 6,000 swipes over 2 months to score a date. The typical guy. Lads, if you're doing better than that, you're doing well. So clearly, those guys in the bottom 10% don't have a chance. If they fumble the bag, it might be a week or more until they get another opportunity. But if you feel like you are in that bottom 10%, you might be excited to hear the fact that your prayers in the not too distant future might be answered. But before I tell you what that is, can I just say that it's pretty wild that the people that signed up to Christian Bowe's service to have their profiles analysed then just had their information broadcast all over the internet. I mean, your personal information could be getting broadcast all over the internet as we speak, and you wouldn't know anything about it, right? In fact, it probably is. Well, that's where Incogni comes in, the sponsor of today's video. You see, Incogni helps to protect your privacy by reaching out to data brokers on your behalf and requesting the removal of your information. Why is this important? Well, think of every website you've ever given your information over to. Your full name, email, passwords, phone numbers. If any one of them were to be breached, you probably wouldn't know. And now, strangers with malicious intent may very well have your personal information. Nobody ever thinks it happens to them, but trust me, it happens. In the past, Yahoo was breached, exposing over 1 billion accounts, Facebook was breached, exposing 500 million accounts, LinkedIn 700 million. The companies that you trust are unsafe. A good way to avoid your data falling into the wrong hands is to manually reach out to these data brokers and ask them to remove your details, but ordinarily this would take years to do. But with Incogni, this isn't a problem anymore. You can relax with peace of mind as Incogni's automated system contacts data brokers and requests for your information to be removed, taking the weight off your shoulders and protecting your privacy. If you're interested in getting Incogni, all you need to do is hit the link in the description, and if you're one of the first 100 people to use my code Akimbo, you will get 60% off. It's a great way to ensure safety for your data, and once again I want to thank Incogni for being today's video sponsor. With that said, now is the moment you've all been waiting for, the grand reveal of what this new technology is. So as of literally a few hours ago when I wrote the script, there was a group of unknown people who claimed to be ex-Tinder employees who have since gone rogue, and they spoke to Vice's tech wing called Motherboard to let them know of their recent work. And that is an AI chatbot that you can link to your dating profile, so instead of you striking up conversation, this bot will do it for you. This new technology is primarily aimed at male users looking for women, so I'm just going to refer to it as such, as even though this is available for both men and women and it can also be used for homosexual relationships too, since the male to female dynamic on dating apps has the most disparity, it would make sense that this would be targeted towards men. This AI will go through all of your previous matches and analyze the user's type in women, and then it will constantly swipe to try and get you high quality matches. How it does this has not yet been revealed, but some people have theorized that it might be using some sort of face scanning technology on women that don't know that it exists. Then, when you eventually get a match, this technology will do all of the talking for you. It'll try and rizz up the person on the other end, and if it's successful in flirtation, it'll add a date to your Google Calendar. And this is the dystopia we're talking about, because if you're a woman on the other end, unbeknown to you, you've just arranged a date with an AI, not a real person. Whether AI has the capability to flirt is yet to be seen, but if it does, then some people will call this horrifying. And if it doesn't, it's just a matter of when, not if. Motherboard decided to try and sign up for the service to test it out, with the price of the service costing $15 a month for beta access. And they were told that they were number 5027 and that full access would be granted to people who had purchased the beta on the 31st of March. So to the straight women watching this video, it's time to check your watches because it might already be out there. That cute guy that you're talking to might just be a collection of ones and zeros. And this brings up an ethical debate because these ex-Tinder employees have claimed that their goal isn't to saturate the app with bots, nor is it to objectify women at all, but instead to force Tinder to reevaluate how it operates and to facilitate the dating process for some people in the meantime. Still, I think you could make the point that a woman's privacy might feel violated if she finds out that this person that she's been speaking to and sharing her secrets and information has been a bot all along. This is some sort of weird, futuristic catfishing. And this isn't even to mention the fact that most women would say that the first few conversations over text are very important, because it helps them to gauge what kind of person they're talking to before going out to meet them in public. And now, if you have an extra $15 laying around, even if you have a stinking personality and horrible game, you have a better chance of getting at least a first date. Whether or not you mess it up from there is on you, but at least in theory, this will give heterosexual men a bit of an equalizer because according to CupidBot's creators, they're the most disadvantaged people in the Tinder ecosystem. These people, by the way, the creators of CupidBot, have decided to remain anonymous up until now, nor have they attempted to provide any evidence whatsoever to verify the claim that they had previously worked at Tinder, so do take this with a grain of salt. With Motherboard being the 5027th customer and with it being $15 per user, without this technology even being released to the public, these guys behind it have just made $75,000. This could be a scam. The bot might just suck at its job. A number of possibilities could be in place so that this doesn't work in the way that you might envision it. On top of that, there's a very real chance that if you didn't get matches before this technology, that you'll get any afterwards. Because if you just get one match a week, this bot can only message one girl a week. So you need to work on your profile before you try and cheat the system. Speaking from personal experience, I've used dating apps a lot over the past couple of years, and I've had my fair share of matches, and I've even had my fair share of dates come out of them too. But personally, if a girl ghosts me or unmatches with me, that's because I didn't do enough to win her over. Maybe my opening line was just a bit dull, or maybe, she just didn't feel like we were gonna click, but either way, that's on me. And the same thing applies on the other end. If I want to unmatch with her or I ghost her, that's because she didn't do enough to win me over, or she seems like she has the personality of a piece of wet cardboard and can't carry a conversation over text. The point is, if you don't have the riz, you don't go on a date. It's as simple as that. And stereotypically, there might be another reason why female users are harder to land a date with over dating apps than male, and that's because women face disproportionate amounts of harassment online, with the Pew Research Center quantifying this. 48% of women who'd used dating apps reported that they had previously been contacted by someone else after telling that person that they were not interested, compared to 27% of men. 46% of women report having been sent explicit photos that they didn't ask for, compared to 26% of men. 33% of women had been called offensive names on dating apps compared to 22% of men, and 11% of women had been physically threatened over dating apps compared to 6% of men. This tells us that yes, men suffer from harassment too, and their experiences should not be diminished, but for the most part, women suffer from it more frequently. And I don't want to sound like a white knight in the slightest, because I'll tell you right now, I'm not. I just call a spade, and since I'm just the messenger here, I'll let the facts speak for themselves. But I wonder if those guys who are saying weird stuff, who are waving red flags or setting off alarm bells in the minds of women who proceed to unmatch them, if giving them access to this technology, if it works in the way that they say it does, could be very dangerous in the wrong hands. The creators of Cupid bots once again made the point that this is a reaction to this trend or idea that it's the top few percent of guys that are getting all of the attention, and this will give a boost to your average guy who might get a few matches, but for one reason or another struggles to convert them into dates. And by all means, if this technology exists in the way in which its creator says it does, I assume there would be an absolutely huge market for it. Literally just refreshing their website since the Motherboard article dropped a couple of days ago, there's been another 300 or so signups. So I guess the takeaway is, guys unlucky in love, your time might have come. And girls, you best be doing some police background checks come April, because we'll have to wait and see just how well this thing works. Again, I feel as though this is a matter of when, not if. So that's all I have to say today. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, why not go see my deep dive of the e-girl community? These videos go quite hand in hand, so definitely click on that one if you haven't seen it already. I'm sure you'll love it. And aside from that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.